All right, don't forget tomorrow morning to wake up with KJZ. They'll be, well, maybe not. They might have more important things to talk about than the Eagles and the Giants. But I would imagine that KJZ will be talking Eagles-Giants, and that is right here on 97.3 ESPN. We're going to talk to Zubin Mehenti from KJZ in just a second.
Can't wait to get my bet in tonight on DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving all new users the chance to earn a sign-up bonus up to $1,000 when using promo code 973. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
He is the host of KJZ. Zubin Mehenti joins us right now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Now, I woke up today, Zubin. First time in 2020, that's nice, right, that I actually woke up. The first time in 2020 since the pandemic that I feel excited about something. It's a football game with my team that I'm actually like, a win means something. Should I be excited about this game?
I guess if the, old Tip O'Neill line, all politics is local, I would say sure. I don't know about the rest of the country, but considering where you guys are, considering where the Giants are, considering Dallas is playing Washington this weekend, I would be. There's no World Series game tonight. I heard you saying whether we'll talk about it or spend significant time on it. Anything that's football, we do talk about it. And with the World Series off day, I'm sure we'll get into it. And I think the Eagles are just a little bit more of an interesting team than the Giants. I don't think a lot of people expected much out of Joe Judge and company. They've taken a ton of heat, but, to be honest with you, they've been in most of the games that they have played. They're still obviously trying to figure out what's going on with Jones, and they're trying to establish a culture. So I think while people are freaking out in this part of the country, I live in New York City here, obviously with the Jets being the only team in the league without a win and the Giants picking up their first win of the season on Sunday, that is what it is. I mean, neither one of those teams has any weapons, and especially for a team like the Giants, I think they knew they were hitting a little bit of a recalibration. But I think Philly is very intriguing for a variety of reasons. I was at home in New Jersey on Sunday, and my dad and I were watching the Ravens game. And, I mean, you guys are watching every snap. I'm not, so I'm going to acquiesce here to you, generally speaking. But when I saw Wentz just trot out for this first series, again, I'm not a body language expert or anything. It just felt so strange. And then just watching him, I just thought to myself, can a human being regress at anything this much? And I think the answer is no. And that means, to me, obviously the line has been decimated, as you guys know, been discussing, I'm sure, on your show. I just do tend to believe, I'm kind of like Doug Peterson. I believe in this guy because when I see the regression in play, I can't put it on him. There's no way he could decelerate this much. It's got to be everything around him. That being said, we did have a little question on the show today whether we thought we'd see Hurts for 20 snaps or not. That seems like a lot, but it was a fun question to ask.
That is a fun question to ask and an interesting question to ask. And if he is, I mean, I can't imagine it's that many snaps playing quarterback, but getting him involved in other aspects. Now, you mentioned, if the Eagles were to win this game, they're getting Deshaun Jackson back. Next week, they might get Goddard. They got Rager. They've got Jeffrey. They've got Goddard. I mean, they got a bunch of guys all coming back. Is there legit reason for some positive vibes if they can win this? You got the Cowboys next week. I mean, they could potentially have a little 3-game win streak going here with 3 straight division games.
I agree. We talked about the schedule a couple of days ago. That is the silver lining. It's a possibility. Rager with the thumb injury. I mean, things happen. That happens to all teams. But I agree with you. If they can get the first of 3 here, it's manageable. I don't know what you're going to get the rest of the season from the rest of the division. Then again, you could probably lump the Eagles into that mix. But if Washington completely disintegrates, I wouldn't be totally surprised. I think Kyle Allen is serviceable, and we saw last season he played well out of the gate, then struggled toward the end. Alex Smith is a great story, and then obviously they don't even want to go back to Dwayne Haskins, I would imagine, at this point. And I'm not sure who Andy Dalton really is. If he's something like what we saw Monday night, I think you got to feel like by far head and shoulders, even though he hasn't shown it, you have the best quarterback in the division. You can make an argument that, sure, Mike McCarthy and Doug Peterson both have Super Bowl championships, so it's really hard to say the best coach in the division is. Ron Rivera's been to a Super Bowl. Joe Judge has coached about 6 games. But I think you have a lot moving in your direction, getting the injury situation sorted out, getting the line better, having the best quarterback, in my opinion, in the division, despite everything that's been said about him and the money that's been paid, and a somewhat favorable schedule. I think so. You get this one. Look, I mean, we've seen Seattle at 7-9 win a division. We've talked about that. Host a playoff game. They won that game on the Beastquake run. So I definitely think a win tonight could do a lot. I just do believe when this team clicks, let's say all four teams click in the division, I believe if all four teams at some point click to their potential, the Eagles have the highest ceiling.
After seeing the words that were said by Dallas players after what happened against the Cardinals on Monday Night Football, does this make Doug Peterson's value go up in terms of what he can provide when things do get tough? I mean, they're going through similar situations, and now this is the third year where Doug Peterson has this locker room playing and fighting and being on the same page when the time is tough. Now, I can nitpick things that he does on the field, and at the end of the day, I think some of the decisions being made on the field is more important than keeping everyone together, but there is so much value there at the same time.
I would agree. I think for McCarthy, he's just in a situation here where I don't think it's a direct repudiation of him, even though the players said the last couple of days, we're totally unprepared. These guys aren't good coaches. I actually think it's more on the players for not putting forth the effort. If they feel like things are being mismanaged and they're not being coached well, that's fine. But as Keith said this morning and a couple of days ago, maybe this just isn't the way it's done today. And maybe it's because he was as brash as anybody, so he wasn't afraid to put his name on things. I think you see, guys, we had a guy in the Cowboys, if I'm not mistaken, last week say, yeah, sure. What do you expect me to go 100% on all 70 plays? You remember that fight last week? I mean, to me, that's more of the problem than we're struggling. A couple of guys go to the NFL Network. They say things aren't going well. Key has said before, and I tend to agree, where there's smoke, there is some sort of fire. So I'm sure there is some sort of issue. And it is, but I do think a lot of this falls back on the players, because if you're telling me even one guy in the locker room is telling me that it's okay to not go all out on every single play, considering you have 2 wins and you're in first place and nothing has gone your way, yet everything has gone your way with regards to the playoff standings and where you are in the division. I understand that there's player frustration. It happens a lot. But when openly anybody, any of the 53, or I guess 55 this year, come out and essentially say, are you chiding me for not going full speed? Those are little things that's just hard for me to get rid of in my mind.
Zubin Mehenti, KJZ, tomorrow morning they'll be recapping the Eagles and the Giants game. Now, there is no World Series tonight, but would you be more excited about rehashing or previewing World Series or this fantastic Eagles-Giants game?
It's funny. I'm kind of torn on that, because I personally would love to talk about the World Series, but all of our metrics, now I don't know what the numbers of the Phillies are for your particular affiliate, but all of our metrics, just to be a little radio nerdy here, all of our metrics just say nobody wants to talk about baseball. And I think that's just one of those things where we have to sort of live with it. He is a hardcore Dodger fan and Laker fan. It could be a pretty good run for anybody that roots for those two teams, but he's a hardcore Dodger fan. He's from Los Angeles. I would guess that if we had somebody on the show that wasn't affiliated with one of the teams in there, we had Dick Vitale in yesterday. He's actually had season tickets to the Rays for 21 years. He lives out in Sarasota. He's had box seats off for years and years and years. He's actually a really true Rays fan. He was reeling off the 2008 roster yesterday morning. The guy's 81 years old. He's reeling off the 2008 roster, the team that lost to the Phillies. So to me, I would actually love to talk a little more baseball. I like baseball, but all of our numbers seem to say talk football, basketball, and then talk more football, and then talk more basketball. So that's what the numbers are telling us. I'd love to talk about it. Today's only the 5th day, if I'm mistaken, since the playoffs started. Today's only the 5th day since the playoffs started that there's an off day. We've been so used to these series outside of the World Series going every single day, since there's no travel, obviously, involved at this point. So it's a little bit strange to have an off day, considering once series have begun, we've just seen baseball every single day. But I think it's setting up for a really good Game 3 tomorrow. I love the story of Charlie Morton being on the mound to record the final out for the Astros against the Dodgers in 2017, and now obviously in a new uniform facing the Dodgers tomorrow night. And I think it's fair to say, despite all the acclaim Clayton Kershaw's got this week, and I feel good for him, I think it's finally time he sort of got that off his back. I think it's pretty obvious moving forward the Dodgers' best pitcher is probably Buehler. So I think tomorrow night will be a great matchup on both sides. There's a couple of really good storylines dueling there.
Of course, you can hear tomorrow night's World Series right here on 97.3 ESPN. You got the Eagles and Giants tonight right here on 97.3 ESPN. Tomorrow morning, KJZ will talk Eagles, Giants, and a little World Series. He is Zubin Mehenti. Keyshawn, and Jay will have you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. right here on 97.3 ESPN. Zubin, always a pleasure, bud.
You got to have Archie Manning on tomorrow for the college football fans, getting ready for the return of Ohio State, if that means anything down there.
Yes, looking forward to a nice, by the way, and I appreciate it as always, Zubin. Big Ten weekend. Rutgers is back. We'll have that game for you on 97.3 ESPN. The Schiano era begins part 2.